Hello, welcome back to Football Khanage. Sorry we're late for all of the early birds or the people that turn up on time. First time hosting and we already messed it up. But we're going to be good from now. We're going to be professional. We're going to get through this thing. I'm going to drop in Keith. There you are. Keith, you here with us?
Am I here? Am I sounding good?
You sounded good, bro. Looking good as ever. Yeah. Look, I was just getting into it. We're going to obviously chop up today's game and we're going to talk about the big news that dropped on Friday. I'm sure you guys are itching to give your thoughts. I'm interested to see what you guys in the chat think as well. Your feelings towards it all might be indifferent. I think we've spoken backstage. I think we've got similar sort of thoughts and what have you and feelings, but we're going to get into it. So the show's going to be a bit of a two-parter. As always, as you come in, hit the like button, support the channel. You see how it helps us grow. Hit 35k. Was it last week or the week before on subscribers? Want to keep pushing that, keep increasing that content and get it out there to you guys. So look, let's get into it because we're going to be here for about an hour and a half, hour 45 maybe. And we've got a lot to say. So Conroy, how you doing, bro? How you feeling?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Doing good. With a few tech issues behind the scenes there, so
we're good now. We're good. We're
solving that. But no, doing good. As you say, it's a epic Sunday show. Lots to discuss, so I'll not hold us back any longer because we've got lots to get through. But yeah, when on the result today, even that was a weird game, like a strange game. The way the game went, the missed chances, the goals that actually went in. It was a strange day. But yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting about it.
Absolutely. Keith, bit of a different setting this time around. Not got the yellow wall. I'm not sure what that yellow wall is. That's 3D thing that you got going on, but got to tell us where you are because you're Mr. International, man.
Yeah, that yellow wall is there when people drive me up it. You know what I mean? It's my little climbing wall on the side. So yeah, no, I'm in Jordan at the moment. I'm in Amman in the Middle East. Come see my partner's parents. So yeah, truly international. But I couldn't miss today's show. It's about 11 o'clock, just about 10 past 11 here in the evening. I managed to watch the game in a lovely bar in Jordan as well. They must have thought I was a little bit crazy because I celebrate goals at bars and pubs like I do in my house, just a little bit quieter. But yeah, no, it's been a crazy couple of days. So I'm just looking forward to giving my thoughts and opinions on it, and having a little bit of a cry fest with you lads and everybody in the chat and everybody watching today.
Hey, I'm the same. Since the news broke on Friday, I've been itching to get onto this podcast because I just need to be around other Liverpool fans, like-minded people, footballing people, and yeah, just hear what you guys have got to say on it. There's going to be so much that people want to say. We're gonna give everybody their chance to do so. But Mush, last but by no means least, you've been on the Red Fellas before, right? So I'm not gonna say this is your debut, but you're welcome as always. How are you doing, my bro?
I'm good would be a lie. I would say I'm still trying to work out how I'm feeling. I'm still trying to, every time I think I've got it all thought out and I understand how I should feel for the coming days, weeks, and months, something hits you, man, and a new video comes out or another interview comes out or another story comes out, and you just, yeah, man, it's the beginning of a beautiful bye that you don't want to say. I would put it as that. So
yeah, great way of putting it. The ending to what's been a great story is now there, isn't it? But look, we'll get onto it. We'll talk about it. We'll bring up your guys' comments in the chat as well. Please let us know your thoughts on the whole Klopp situation and what have you. But first things first, this is not Klopp FC. This is Liverpool FC. Liverpool did have a game today against Norwich, which we, of course, progressed through in that round. I'm going to chop it up. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about everything and as we usually do. So, Conroy, come back to you. Lineup comes out. A few injured players returned. We've seen that through the inside training videos in the week. There was options there again as to what he could go with in this. What did you make of the lineup? Any surprises there for you?
Yeah, there's a few. Obviously, McConnell coming in as well, getting that opportunity. Good to see more footage of more coverage of him again. And yeah, it's good we've got options. And I think not really surprised with Bradley starting again. Robertson and Trent came back into the squad as well as Szoboszlai on the bench. But Bradley played very well in the last game. That was Bournemouth, I think. Completely forgot. But so I was looking forward to watch him more today. He really has impressed me. I think what we've got a habit of doing as Liverpool fans is we see a few good performances by young players, and we build them up to the heavens that they're going to be amazing. So I'm not going to do that with him. But I think I've been quite impressed. So I was happy to see him again, just see if he can keep that consistency up. And with regard to McConnell, as I previously mentioned, wanted to see him a bit more as well. But I think that the best thing, the most enjoyable part at the moment is Salah's obviously at the AFCON, picked up the injury, but when it comes to goals and attacking threat, especially with our front three at the moment, it does fill you with confidence. As we said all season, Cav, having the 5 subs, having the way the games are set now, to have the attacking depth we do, I think it's really shown how important it is. I know today's a bad example because you're against a championship team, but I think this season you've seen the strength in numbers to have such depth in the attacking side. And again, that with those 3 up front, I was confident going into today. But again, no real surprises. Just kept a closer eye on McConnell and Bradley today.
Yeah, definitely. The young players, I think, especially, are going to get their name mentioned quite a few times as we go through the game. And I thought there were some really brilliant performances in there from the young men. They don't look like young men, in my opinion, the way they're playing. They're playing as if they've played 50 or 100 games for Liverpool before. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Mush, same question to you. Any surprises? Anything that, that caught you off guard? Anything that you would want to have seen in this lineup that you didn't see?
Surprise is probably strong. I think one thing that's been happening a lot, obviously we've been seeing a lot of Bobby Clark coming off the bench, right? So I thought this would be a game where we'd actually see Bobby Clark start because, he's highly rated at the club and you'd think that this would be a time where we'd see him get 90 minutes. McConnell, I never like to say I know a player when I don't. So I had not seen anything of him, didn't really know anything about him. So I had no expectations. And it was lovely to see him have his moment as well. And apart from that, I was fine with the lineup, to be honest. I think we're in a super difficult position where Jürgen Klopp, who is a very humble person, it's very hard to take the spotlight away from him at the moment. And I don't think he likes the fact that every game is being made about him rather than the players. So, and especially a game like this, lesser opposition, a rotated lineup, there's not really any big names to focus on. So I'm happy the boys stepped up and made it an exciting game so that it wasn't just about Klopp today, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you could tell as the game builds up and once players come out on the pitch, cameras are focusing on Klopp, and it felt like a bit of an occasion about him, less so about the game itself. And I was not worried, but it crossed my mind that maybe some players could sort of take their eye off the ball a little bit. Some young players in there that could get caught out and the occasion could maybe get to them, but I don't think that happened at all. I think everybody played really well today. Keith, same to you. Anything that you wanted to see in that lineup that was different to what Klopp chose?
To be honest with you, the biggest compliment we can probably give Klopp for his departure is that I remember these type of games before he came in. I remember those games where we'd rotate, we'd bring in youngsters, we'd give people a rest, we'd have changed teams, and when we changed the team, we didn't look like the first team anymore. We looked disheveled, disjointed. Players that would probably come in just weren't good enough to play for Liverpool. And the biggest respect I can give Klopp at the moment is that this is arguably the best squad he's ever had. I know we'll get into more conversations about Klopp and his decision and everything, but deep down, he must be thinking, wow, has he ever had a squad this good? Because I can't remember Liverpool ever having a squad this good. The fact that you can make so many changes, I mean, we're getting into third, fourth, fifth, sixth choice players in certain position. McConnell coming in and doing a job. Yes, it's Norwich in the Championship, but at the end of the day, it's the FA Cup. They had nothing to lose. They're still a Championship side, and that midfield of Gravenberch, McConnell, and Curtis Jones has never played football together in their lives. You still got Gerald Konza coming in, doing a job. You got Conor Bradley coming in, still trying to find his feet. So the fact that this whole game really looked like a Klopp team as if it was the regular starting 11 is the biggest compliment I can give to what he's managed to achieve the last few years. And it's quite astonishing to me that watching this game, you know, I saw exactly, you know, you saw Klopp's imprint on all these players. And now we're starting to see the realization of his philosophy coming through on the youngsters as well, because they don't look out of place.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot can be said for the youngsters, especially coming into a side and just fitting in, understanding the system, understanding what's asked of them, and not standing out because they're young or they're inexperienced, not making mistakes or whatever. You know, they come in and they look like I say, they've played games for Liverpool before. I thought that when you see them on the team sheet, there seems to be a growing confidence now that Liverpool are still going to play good football, still going to get results, even despite the notable absentees. And look, it's the FA Cup, you know. Sorry.
Can I just add one last thing on this as well, guys? Because I meant to say it when I was first asked. I think it's quite interesting watching us play, as Keith mentioned, like these type of games now, especially when the way you operate Trent. So when Trent doesn't start, I know today he was coming back off the bench, but you know, it's probably a good chance in future he's not going to play every cup game as well. I always find it quite interesting to how we play when he's not on the pitch, especially the way you operate your fullbacks. And I think we saw a few glimpses that we're going to talk about later. That is also obviously quite interesting as well, because inverted fullback is not like unheard of, but when it's someone is you know is such an important playmaker to your team, the way Trent is, it's quite interesting when you see a Conor Bradley play, or Owen Beck, for example, if you got a chance. You know, it's quite interesting to see how you operate when he's not there. What avenues do you go through? What's your main source of attack? Do you give, like, because he's such a important playmaker. I always find that quite interesting as well when you're watching. What, you know, if you're playing a game with Liverpool, it's like Trent, get him in an area, get him in space, he can dictate so much. I think today I find it quite interesting watching it when he's not on the pitch as well. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's fair to say Conor Bradley's come in and done really well with the opportunity he's been given. And like you say, he's not trying to be Trent. He's trying to be Conor Bradley. He's playing his own game. And don't get me wrong, that's close.
He's more Robertson. He's more Robertson. He's more Robertson when he started. He's definitely more Robertson up and down the line. He's a traditional fullback. And I think that's a great asset to have. You could have that option on the right back as well. Hopefully, if he continues his consistency. But yeah, sorry, Cav, on you go, mate.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, and I think he's done really well with his opportunity. And like you say, Trent now plays this inverted right back position, and everybody's getting used to that, and we're seeing, you know, a lot of success in it. So when you change it, what happens? And so far, you know, it looks to be perfectly fine with having Bradley in there playing in a slightly traditional right back way. He has got Gravenberch in front of him, still, you know, finding his feet at Liverpool. I would say McConnell's a youngster, you know, so it is a change side. But I thought, yeah, enough to go on and beat this Norwich side, which, you know, Ashley Barnes up front aside, I'm not really particularly fearful of anybody without trying to sound too arrogant. I'm not sure if you guys, you know, spotted anybody there or seen any of Norwich or the Championship this season and thought they were going to pose any kind of threat to us. Of course, they get their 2 goals. We'll talk about that. But that Ashley Barnes winner for Burnley years back, it still stings a little bit. So I'm pleased to see this guy go off. Yeah.
You know, a fair play to Ashley Barnes, man. His resume is ridiculous. Like, you know, he once upon a time he was a big game player, but he definitely looks like Ashley, like half retired Ashley Barnes today. If to be frank, bless him, he did look like the Ashley Barnes you'd probably see at Top Golf years later and be like, oh, that's Ashley Barnes, as opposed to the Ashley Barnes that used to be. Do you know what I mean? But I'm with you. I didn't really fear. The only thing I feared was the occasion itself. Obviously, like you mentioned, being about Klopp and you know it being quite a big occasion for some of the players. But to be honest, what we got was probably the complete opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's get into the game. We've got plenty of goals to get through, so we'll jump right in. And Mush, I'll come to you at the start of the game. Didn't take too long for the Liverpool chant to get going. I seen it. I looked up at the clock. It was not even a minute gone. I think it was about 50 seconds that the crowd started going against Klopp's wishes. But it was a good atmosphere inside Anfield, I thought. You know, it seemed like a proper occasion. Felt like the crowd were you know, up for it and wanting to support the team as well as Klopp and show their appreciation. Do you think the team started well? Do you think everybody sort of just played their normal game? You know, anything you spotted in that start?
Yeah, I thought the energy levels were really good. I think sometimes emotional energy is either positive or a negative, right? You can do too much too soon. You can be too eager, not do the right things. But I think this is where having players like, I'd say Curtis Jones especially, who plays the same way all the time, who has the same standards all the time. If anything, sometimes you might want Curtis to be more aggressive or more emotional, but these are the times where it pays off that he's actually a cool head amongst all of this emotion, because I'm not expecting a Jarrell Quansah or Connor Bradley to be the ones who are carrying the mentality. They need to look at others. And I just thought the positivity was really good. The football was really fun. And it's nice to say that. I think Liverpool, what I'm probably going to miss most about Klopp is there's not many football teams you describe in football nowadays as fun. There's lots of methodical teams. There's lots of tactical teams. There's lots of smart teams. But Liverpool are a bit of a throwback in the sense of, do you know what? We'll try things. It will go wrong. We'll win the ball back and we'll try something else again. And it just felt like we were doing that throughout. I mean, Conroy was spot on. I thought Connor Bradley throughout that game, it was a feature of the first half and then throughout, he was infectious in terms of. And one thing I love about Connor Bradley, which is very different to, let's not use Trent, but let's say when we had Klein, for example. Nathaniel Klein could do the bread and butter things that a fullback had. But what Connor Bradley has is a really clever pass inside. Sometimes an attacker will be making a run and you hope a fullback might see it. But Connor Bradley will actually play that pass and he will always move us forward. There's never a time where he plays or does something that negates us. It only adds value every time he gets the ball. So I just thought a lot of the good came from him. And I thought, I mean, guys, Darwin Nunez for me now is just a guy who, now, if you're missing one chance in every 3 or 4, that's an acceptable rate for me for you to be converting. And all of the good is coming with it as well. So, yeah, I would say overall, I'd sum it up as the energy that we wanted and that positive feeling was the way we embodied that entire first half.
No, I agree. I thought the attitude was bang on, as it has been, this season. And we started to move the ball around, creating a few chances. Norwich fall into a low block, and you kind of seen what their game plan was going to be for the afternoon. Nunez, as you mentioned him, he was linking up well, I thought. And it's himself who hits the post with that sort of becoming a little bit of a, not a trademark, but he likes to step in and sort of whip that ball into the far post, rackets off the post, and it goes wide. But not too long after, we get the goal, and we talk about the youngsters, and we talk about McConnell coming into the team for his first start. But it's actually him that breaks down that low block, and he plays a beautifully dinked ball into Curtis Jones. Keith, just what we needed, really. I know this Liverpool team can score goals. I know that low blocks can sometimes be an issue, but I feel like we're improving with that. We're learning how to break down team. But even so, first goal in the game, even against a side like Norwich, is important. And how did you like how it come about?
Yeah, I just like the weight, the weight of the pass was just perfect. It's been said that McConnell was once almost like an attacking midfielder. And the thing is what I love about this goal and what I loved about McConnell is I've seen players many, many times play for Liverpool in the midfield or in defence in particular, and just always go for the safe options. They're not ready to play for Liverpool. It's as simple as that. They'll pass sideways, they'll pass backwards. They might make 1 or 2 mistakes. They might try something once and it doesn't pull off, and then they'll never try again in that entire match. McConnell was trying things, right? He lost the ball a few times here and there, but he was trying things. And to be able to have the vision to spot the Curtis Jones run and to play that lofted pass just shows the confidence that he has, that I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna try things. And this is the biggest compliment I can give all the youngsters that have come into this team so far. Bradley, Quansah, McConnell, they're willing to go forward. And that's one of the scariest things that you can do in a Premier League in England, in English football. Is the scariest thing you could do, because Mush, you touched on it, right? Liverpool play the most exciting style of football. We love it the most because this country is renowned for fast transition, counter-attacking football, direct. Yep. This is the country of direct football. That's why you'll have all the guys on TalkSport, Simon Jordan, all of them lot turn around and say they prefer Klopp to Pep. They prefer Klopp to Pep because Klopp is the most I'd say his style of football and what he's brought to the Premier League is the most purest form of what English football's all about. Direct, how to get from A to B as quickly as possible. Fast forward thinking. We've never really been a team of death by paper cuts. And that first goal kind of proved it there. Do you know what I mean? It was a lofted ball into the box, right? You wouldn't find a lot of teams who probably like to keep the ball a little bit more, do that. They probably build up closer towards the box before they try and make a decision like that. So, it just goes to show that Klopp leaving the Premier League is going to have a bit of an impact because he is the Premier League. He brought the brand of football that the Premier League loves. And I believe actually it requires so much energy and emotion that it's almost his Achilles heel at the same time. So I just wanted to touch on that as well. It was a typical kind of direct pass into the box, and Curtis Jones again. The guy can header. He's scored quite a few headers now. He's popping up with quite a few goals as well. Do you know what I mean? Like Curtis Jones for me is the complete package at the moment, and I think we're at this stage of the season now where we have to start considering Curtis Jones. For those, I know not everybody in the Liverpool cares about England or maybe some watching tonight, but for me at the moment, if you're looking at the England 11 going into the Euros, Curtis Jones has to start at this point. He's the one that balances it out. When you play with an 8 and you play with a holding midfielder, Curtis Jones is the make weight, I think you call it, or the paperweight, right? He balances things out, but he also scores goals. So not only is he doing the things where he's kind of calming the ball down, keeping possession, keeping things moving, but he's also got the confidence to pop up with the goal as well. So for me, he's one of the most complete midfielders in world football at the moment, and very happy that he got his goal.
I was just going to ask the question. Sorry, and Cav and Conroy, feel free to jump in. I'm so surprised, by the way, because I wanted to know if anyone else thought this, but the way McConnell plays, I'm very surprised he's made it through in Klopp's philosophy, because he's got a very languid and relaxed and slow way of, I'm not saying it's lazy. What I'm saying is it's very calm. He's not very quick with the ball either in terms of if he drives with it. I'm just very surprised that is the kind of player that's broken through. When I've seen Bobby Clark have his little cameos, he's here, there, everywhere, crunching into tackles. Whereas McConnell almost felt like I was watching, I don't even know, how when Seydou Keita used to come on for Barcelona and just used to come on and be relaxed and just pop the ball with his foot. And I'd just like to know what you thought about his actual way of playing.
Yeah, look, I think, me personally, I just think he slotted in really well. And it's interesting, Keith, that you say that, he has the confidence to go and try and play them passes. I think that's what Klopp and the coaching team have done. They've given these youngsters, game time. I think they've rotated the squad really well this season. We've spoken about that in previous weeks. But actually, not only getting them to go out on the pitch just for the sake of resting your so-called first teamers, actually giving them confidence to go out and play. Go out and try things, go seize the opportunity. And the young men that are stepping in, they really are doing that. With regards to his profile, look, he surprised me as to how tall and he actually is. And he's got although a languid frame as you describe it, he's got quite a big frame on him. In the coming years, he'll put some muscle onto that frame and he'll fill out a little bit. But he looks like he's physically strong to sort of cope with the demands of a game like today. The Premier League, slightly different. Next year we'll be in the Champions League, slightly different. But certainly for today's game, he held his own, physically demanding. I thought he was engaged in challenges. He was close enough to come away with the ball, and he was brave enough at times to go in with them challenges. So I was really impressed by him, to be honest with you. I've not seen loads of him in the underage groups. I'm not sure if you guys have. Look, I thought he slotted in well, and it's an opportunity for him. McAllister got rested today. I think it's precautionary. I don't think there's played four of the last 5 he's played.
With like 10 man, that last game, McAllister, he needed a rest.
Apparently, he said he was feeling something in training though yesterday. So as a precautionary measure, he wasn't.
Yeah. But we talk about depth. What great option to have. Endo's currently away. He would have perhaps been the man in there today in McAllister's absence, but he's not there also. So you bring in a youngster, and the youngster stepped up. Fair play to him. You got to take these chances. But look, let's get back to it. Liverpool, the game opens up. Norwich start trying to play out from the back. Got dispossessed time after time. We're creating chances. I think we're feeling good at this stage. And then they peg us back. and it comes for a set piece. Conroy, what did you make of it? Anyone to blame in particular?
So I think it's I rewatched it just before we came on actually, there Cav, and it's Steve Gibson, Ben Gibson, sorry. Fun fact, that was Steve Gibson, Middlesbrough's, I don't know if he currently still is the chairman, but when they were in the Premier League, he was his grandson or his son or grandson, maybe his son actually. But I always find that quite an interesting fact. So there you go, fun facts with Conroy. You know, don't say a very dry and you know, humorless, but
I'm not sure how useful.
you should get some information. Yeah, it's like have you seen Big Bang Theory? It's like what is it? Fun with flags with Sheldon. That's probably more funny than my, you know, fun fact session. But I just remembered that when I saw him earlier today. To be fair, it is a good header. He gets kind of on top of and past Gravenberch at the near post. I would say it is a good header. Sometimes I think you can get Gravenberch probably can do better, but at times a set piece can be carried out well. And we did start very well, so I think it's quite harsh to be too critical. Gravenberch probably does better. I think even the front screen, it goes above them because it is a good delivery. So if there's any blame, it's Gravenberch. But for me, I think it is quite a good header. I don't think Alisson can't do anything because it's past him before he knows it. So for me, yeah, possibly Gravenberch a little bit, but overall, it is a decent goal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys disagree. I kind of chalk it off as just it's football. It can kind of happen. A few changes in the side today, some youngsters in there. You know, we were organised for most of the game, but that's just, you know, they attacked the near post and they made the contact. I think Gravenberch could have been stronger, and I think that's something he needs to improve on if he's going to be here at Liverpool, is that intensity and that braveness in them kind of situations. But it happens, and I'm not sure if you guys felt like it was ever going to change the momentum of the game as such, but I was pretty confident we would still go on and win it. But look, we get back to playing. I thought we did all right, and it's that man again, Mush. You mentioned him earlier. You talk about his form, you talk about his return, and he's the man again that puts Liverpool ahead. So go for it.
Yeah, I think. I mean, anyone who's been on the Khanage channel will know I haven't been afraid of asking difficult questions about Darwin. But I guess the big thing is even the way he took his chance and the way he used his side foot. I think Darwin Nunez in November 2023 even attempts that chance very differently. I don't think it's as delicately taken as he does take it. And I just think it's a player indicative of a player who believes that he belongs in the team, belongs starting. And I think he just hears now enough. I just wish, and I hope what's been shown to Darwin is throughout this period of him missing a lot of these chances, all of us have talked about whether he's scoring these chances or not, we are a better team with him in it. And I think he now feels like I am important to this team outside of goals. And when you feel like you have value outside of goals, actually taking the chances becomes a bit easier, because you're not defined entirely by scoring them or not, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I was delighted for him. Took it really nicely. First touch with one foot, second touch with the other. And that just shows a player who's not thinking too much. And the other thing is, hit the side net as well, which shows he's tucked it completely. So, yeah, delighted. And every goal is just going to charge this guy up. So we just need it to keep coming, man, so that the Emirates is the next place he gets one, I think.
Yeah, wait, hopefully. Keith, we have to have a Nunez segment, it feels like, every week, because that's just the kind of player he is. But just on his first half in particular, and by all means talk about the goal and Conor Bradley's part in it as well. But he looked better, right, today. He looked like he fitted into the team. I described him when I was talking to my mates earlier with Nunez as he plays his game and then Liverpool play their game. And whilst both things are good, sometimes they don't quite sync up. But it felt today like he was. You know, the rhythm was there. It felt like his link up was good. It felt like he was part of what Liverpool were trying to do. And, you know, gets that goal to put us in front. But did you like that goal? Because I particularly liked the fight to win it back and then the slick one-touch football to get Nunez in goal.
Well, this was it, wasn't it? It was the build-up play. I think it was between Conor Bradley and, if I'm not mistaken,
Jota, I think.
Jota.
Yeah.
That one too was brilliant. The way he takes it on is phenomenal. Again, Darwin Nunez's movement. You know, while one centre back's thinking about closing down Bradley, Nunez has already seen the space. And I've said it on the podcast before, and I say it again. Nunez's ability to identify space in between centre backs is elite. It's something we've never really had before in a Jürgen Klopp's team. I mean, we always used to talk about Firmino coming into the pockets and dropping in. This guy just lives for running that line. And I think while he continues to do that, we are always going to create chances. We are always going to give centre backs headaches. Centre backs make one wrong move, they don't. If they just, if they get distracted by the geezer with the iPhone or the lady with the hot dog in the stands for 1 millisecond, Darwin Nunez is already gone. He's gone through. It's over. It's game over. Whether he finishes or not is always up for debate. What I liked today about Nunez in particular was, he was popping up in areas, switching the ball left and right. He's confident to get on the ball and try and keep things ticking over at the same time. He's not just a striker who just waits to score goals. He tries to give his all to the team, right? He tries to get involved in the build-up as much as possible. So, I can't fault him. I'm a big fan of what he has brought to the team, and particularly this year. I think this year it was a frustrating time. I think there was that 10-11 game drought where he didn't score or he didn't provide to the team. But I think when you look at his catalogue of goals and his assists this season, they're very spread out. You know what I mean? He contributes in in a lot of games, and he'll have a good highlight reel at the end of the season. I have no doubt about it. And it will be fitting, I think, for him if he can just start to maybe get a hat trick here and there, like start to stat pad a little bit his goals, and really kind of start to challenge Salah and Haaland. But the one thing I will say as well is, without Salah, he stepped up to the plate as well. Do you know what I mean? And this is all we asked as fans, was Darwin's going to be able to take up the mantle as being, one of the main strikers while Salah's away. And 3 goals and 3 assists since Salah's been gone is the perfect response to that.
Yeah, absolutely. A great return. I think he's on now 11 goals, 10 assists in all comps this season. It's not a bad return at this stage. And if he continues in that kind of form, then come the end of the season, he's going to have some good numbers to throw out there, as well as some good performances and positive influence on the team. So, look, that takes us through to half time. And it was a strange half time in that we found out who we would play in the next round if we progressed. There was a draw that happened at half time. So, we learned that we're going to either face Watford or Southampton at home, which is, for me, a key thing, that we play at home, and harness the momentum of Anfield. Don't have to travel, rotate if we need to. And look, that's a nice draw. Either one of them sides, I think Liverpool will fancy themselves to get by and progress through.
Cav, just want to say one thing real quick. It would be almost poetic for it to be Southampton, given how Klopp came in and bought half their players as well. So I'm hoping it's Southampton over Watford. Sorry.
Yeah, Cav, can I just add one thing in as well, just to fair play to the chat? I rewatched the Ben Gibson. It was off his back, actually. So the angle I saw looked like his head. So fair play to the chat. It's a great finish off his back. So it wasn't a great header, just to confirm that, But some good connection still with the back, to be fair. But from the angle I saw, I've rewatched it. So fair play to the chat. Just thought I'd add that in.
Hey, the chat don't let you get away with anything. You get fact checked and everything.
Just in case the rewatch, I've messaged it in the chat, but just so there's receipts there, just following this. Just thought I'd make that clear.
Hey, humble as ever, Conroy. Everyone in the chat, smash a like for Conroy and his humility to admit when he got something slightly wrong. Come on. Halftime, Conroy, stay here with us. Anything you'd change? Anything you'd like to see different? Any players in that first half that you thought particularly stood out for the right or wrong reasons, or just more of the same in the second half?
More of the same for me. As I previously kind of took the sting out my point at the start about Conor Bradley, but I think he was probably Cody Gakpo done his best Darwin Nunez impression in the first half by missing an open goal. And again, it seems to be something for fullbacks actually not getting the correct number of assists in our team. You've seen Andy Robertson and Trent for years have players somehow miss chances and they don't get it. Conor Bradley's quickly adding to that today. I just think he was outstanding in the first half. So just let him have the license in the second half and continue that, and just really cause, I think it's Hernandez, their left back. Yeah. Maybe wrong, but he's usually quite, bombs quite forward, and obviously it's a championship team at Anfield, but he never really got the opportunity today because Bradley was just so aggressive and just constantly running in behind or down wide. He was fantastic. So for me, no changes, quite happy with performances, just to crack on. And then I did think as the second half progressed, there would be a few changes, especially with Robertson on the bench. If you're going to give him fitness and some minutes, ideally, there's a good chance you're going to be winning at home to Norwich in the last 20, 25 minutes. That's the best time to do it. I actually think, I may be wrong in the chat, I'll know, I think was it maybe Cardiff a few seasons ago when he came back from a knock, an FA Cup round or something like that at Anfield, he got brought on, or he played half a game that day. So yeah, more of the same for me second half. I thought it was quite a, as Mush said earlier, exciting performance. So it was watchable. It was watchable. That's the best way. A couple of weeks ago, what was the game? Bournemouth in the first half. Maybe not as watchable, but this game definitely was.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. For me, I just wanted Liverpool to start, tucking away some of the chances that they were creating in the first half, just so we could get that gap on the scoreline, so we could bring on some of the returning injured players. You talked about Andy Robertson, been out for quite a while. Trent, coming back, and Szoboszlai as well. I wanted to see those guys get some minutes on the pitch just to get that sharpness back into their legs. But he would only do that, I think, if the tie wasn't open. But luckily for Klopp, and luckily for us, it didn't take too long for the next goal to come. And it's that man again. Just played. The lineup will tell you that he played on the right today, but he was all over. The whole front three were just transitioning between each other's positions, and wherever he starts, this guy just guarantees goals, right? And we talk about all sorts of goals, but Mush, the finish.
I didn't think he'd miss. Honestly, when the ball sat up, I would love to know if anyone thought it wasn't going in. My big thing was when the ball was clipped long, because Gibson was the one who tried to clear it. I thought, if this goes over his head, we're going to score. He gets a half kind of contact on it, and it sat up. I thought, I'm sorry. There's only one player in this entire squad, including Salah, that I'm trusting with this chance, hitting first time. And do you know what? I think that's the best thing about Jota, which is this thing that I can't remember which one of you guys talked about. I think it was, I think it was Keith. You were saying about, like, new players can be hesitant sometimes, trying things, taking a risk, playing first time or doing something. One thing I really respect about Jota, because he got it wrong 2 or 3 times afterwards, is you catch a keeper off guard when you hit it first time, but you're not guaranteed to get it right. But it takes a brave and how can I describe it? Quite desensitized person to be willing to risk that. And I think it's a very healthy way to be, because all strikers are like that. You watch Harry Kane, the last 10 years in the Premier League, Harry Kane, when he takes a chance which he knows is selfish or he's got wrong, doesn't make eye contact with anyone, doesn't apologize for trying to take that chance. And goal scorers have to be like that. We used to talk about Mane and Salah's relationship about, when one's selfish, the other doesn't like it. But their selfishness is what got those numbers, and this is the one thing I love about Jota, man. Lovely technique, but also a brave person to always want to be like that. So, yeah, man, what a player to have back. I mean, Mo Salah being missing is really not proving to be too much of I can't believe I'm saying it, but too much of an effect at the moment.
No, you did right. The results are showing that. But and when we're scoring goals, we're by no means saying that, life after Salah will be great, or we don't need Salah, nothing at all. But the boys are stepping up, and Jota more so than anybody, really. So the finish is just what you come to expect from Jota. What I liked about it is he recognised that there was a man, pressing him. So if he took the touch, he'd have had to done something intricate. His second and third touch would have had to have been quite smart to recreate the angle. But you've still got to be brave, and confident to take that shot on. And it's on his weaker foot. I'm not sure if this guy's got a weaker foot.
I don't think that counts.
But the information on his official stats will tell you he's right-footed. I don't believe it. I think this guy's just, can do anything with any body part. But he finds the back of the net, and the volley is sweet. But one thing I also like about it is that Curtis Jones plays the long ball, another assist for him. But Liverpool, although they play football, in my opinion, in the right way, on the ground, trying to create angles for each other more so than ever this season. We seem to be doing a lot more layoffs, shot from outside the box, trying to be a bit more intricate inside the 18-yard box. But we've never lost the ability to go long if we need to, but long in the right way. Long, trying to pick out your man, doing it in transition when the opposition are kind of out of their formation, which is how this goal come about, in my opinion. And you're constantly having that in your mind as a midfielder or a defender to, once you win the ball back, can we get it forward that quickly? Can we find our attackers? Can we give them the best chance in front of goal to go and get that goal? And I like that. I like that we have that variety in our play, because we scored 5 goals today and each one of them was slightly different. And I think that's really positive for this side. Keith, 3-1. And then we got another boost. And at this point, when these guys come on, it feels like a little bit of a celebration of players, because we see Robertson come on, we see Virgil come on, and I'm trying to think who the other sub was. Szoboszlai, that's right. Yeah. And then you're reminded, oh yeah, we still got these big dogs. We still got these guys in the ranks. And they all come on the pitch and you're like, wow, yeah, a reminder that this Liverpool squad is crazy, right? But not too long after Virgil's getting his name chanted and stuff. And like I said, it was almost a little bit like a celebration of what this squad is and the quality it has in it. I'll focus on Robertson because he's the man that's been out for a long time. Great to see him back, right? And his leadership and stuff. He's going to be important for us for the remainder of the season, surely.
Massive. I think it's crazy to think of all these all these abilities that these players provide to us, all these key skills, passing, vision. But the one thing that we've not really discussed about, and that's credit to Joe Gomez, we've not spoken about the fact that we have not had a left-footed left back playing there for a while. And the difference that brings, there was one situation, it's going to sound so minor that many of people would have even remembered it, where Robertson gets the ball and he pays a first-time pass, left foot, bends it round, and Diaz catches it and he gets into the box with that ball. I'm telling you this now, people are going to remember pretty quickly how important it is to have a left-footed player playing left back. It's the most minor thing that probably people didn't realize because Joe Gomez has done so well defensively. But what always happens, and it's not his fault, is that when you're cutting it back onto your right, you're always giving the opposition defenders the opportunity to reset. That split second to reset will often use you the opportunity to find that space. Now you've got Robertson back, hitting those first-time passes, hitting those first-time balls. When before the defense even has time to set, he's already whipping a left-footed cross into the box with the movement of Nunez, Jota, Salah, etc. All of a sudden, we've added. He's going to feel like a new signing. Mm-hmm. Remember what I say, he will feel like a new signing. He's been gone for about 12, 13 weeks. He's been gone for a long time, but he will feel like a new signing. And my prediction with him coming back into the side is that I think it's going to get the best out of whoever's playing in that wide position again. So the likes of Luis Diaz, likes of Darwin Nunez. And the reason why is because when they make those runs or they make those movements, they'll be able to be picked up quicker because like Robertson, his vision is better, his passing is better, and he's better going forward than Joe Gomez. And that's not a knock on Joe Gomez for everything that he's done, but that is the truth. Andy Robertson is one of the best left backs to ever play football, in my opinion. Period. He's and creatively, his numbers are up there with Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. Them two are literally battling it out at this moment in time in the assist leagues in the Premier League, all timers. So to have him back, is pretty significant at this stage of the season, and his energy levels, that guy has never had a break. He's never had a rest. He's never chilled, right? If he's not been playing for Liverpool, he's been playing for Scotland. Scotland have actually been qualifying. I think they qualify for you Conroy will tell us, he's not had a break.
Just add that in. Just add that in.
For once they've been doing all right, obviously because of John McGinn, my guy. But no, he's actually had a rest. And you know what the really interesting thing is, because it was a shoulder injury, it means that it wasn't he wasn't out for a long time because it was an ACL or a significant hamstring or something which could impact his return in terms of from a physical perspective. It was a shoulder injury. Obviously, I guess quite a bad dislocation, but it was nothing to do with the legs where your money's made. Let me say it like that in football. So big, huge return in my opinion. I feel a bit for Joe. I don't know what's going to happen to him moving forward. But, it was a massive This is going to be a massive tilt in our season, in my opinion. Now Robertson's back, people are not going to know how to deal with him again.
Yeah, you're probably quite right, and fair play to Gomez. I like to think that we've given him his flowers since he's come into the side in the absence of Robertson and Trent when he had his injury. You know, he seamlessly just slotted into that position, doing the inverted thing, centre back at times, right back at times, and he's made that absence of Robertson, you know, perfectly fine. You know, and I think a few years ago, if we'd have lost Robertson, yes, Tsimikas would have been there, but we would have been worried, I think, as fans, because of what he offers us going forward and defensively. You know, part of the leadership group as well, which will be important for the for next season and the years ahead. So incredible to see him back. Conroy, he was the substitute along with Virgil and Szoboszlai, and it's those two men that link up to get the next goal. Szoboszlai, who's been on corner duty, then been off corner duty, then found himself back on corner duty again. He is a set piece taker. He's pretty good at them. And Virgil just has a free header, right? Just needed to get it on target.
Yeah, to be fair, I have said it's obviously against the championship team, but this was a missile of a header. Just, we sometimes say teams do not put players on the post, but to be fair to Norwich, they did have a man on the post, and it was and the player did react. It wasn't like it was bad defending. It was just past him before he knew it. It's actually a very good header. You know, from that distance, I've always said Virgil should score more goals in general, especially his first two seasons with so many chances. I don't actually think he's definitely improved that part of his game. But today, I wouldn't say that was one you're expecting him to score. It's an outstanding header and a very good delivery by Szoboszlai. Good for him as well to get assist after, just before he got injured. Let's be honest, it was a poor stretch of games for him. So for him to come back, get assist, get some confidence, started firing some shots towards the end as well. I think that's good for everyone involved. But yeah, great header, have to say, by Virgil, and maybe he can get those numbers up. To be fair, he's been very good as of late. I'm just being a bit, tongue in cheek, but I would not like to be in the way of that ball. That would have taken your head off.
I agree, though. I do think that Virgil especially can contribute with some more goals. When you think about the amount of set pieces we get, and I think, I've not checked the stats in a while, but we're always up there for our statistics from conversion at set pieces and what have you. But I do think directly from corners, Virgil is a big man. He dominates in our own box, and I do often think, can he not dominate in the opposition box? The difference is you're not heading it away, you just got to head it towards a target. So yeah, look, he gets a goal, great for him. We see the usual celebration, which we've not seen in a while, and it sort of just adds. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say, because I didn't want it to go unmentioned as well, was that what Conroy was saying about kind of how Szoboszlai was playing before kind of this injury finally appeared, because we could tell he was kind of playing through some kind of fatigue barrier, was the Arsenal game was truly indicative of a player who had just lost a lot of quality, probably through exhaustion, a lot of attacks breaking down because of him. And today was the complete reverse, because I remember at least about 4 or 5 occasions where he clipped some absolute beauties in the back post. You'd see the run happening and he'd just find them again and again and again. It's not easy to wait those passes when there's a line of 4 or 5 Norwich defenders. So it's lovely to have a player who is renowned for his technical ability when delivering a ball to be back doing it. So yeah, a welcome reinsertion of a top player, probably back to his best as well.
Absolutely. We've seen the energy that he plays with, them long, busting, powerful runs. And we're going to need that for the remainder of the season. We're going to need that energy to remain. And for them new legs, them fresh legs in this Liverpool squad to carry us all the way through. We've seen how good we've been in years gone by, but we can tail away towards the end of the season, and these guys get tired. So to have athletes, proper fit lads, athletes like Szoboszlai with quality at the end of it is crucial to being in there at the end, but then also having enough about you to get over the line and lift these trophies, But look, we make another substitute. We flex our muscles a little bit again by bringing off Darwin Nunez and bringing on Trent, a forward, a striker for a right back come midfielder, and trying to figure out how it was all going to lay with the new lineup. But it looked like Conor Bradley took a more advanced position not particularly on the right wing, but he was playing high up most of the game anyway. And then I think, I'm not sure if you guys agree, disrupted us slightly. I think it took a minute. Yeah, it took a minute for the lads to work out exactly what they were meant to be doing and where they were meant to find themselves. And fair play to Norwich, they took that sort of moment and got a goal back. And it's a good hit.
What a goal! What a goal!
Well, we'll talk about it, Mush. Tell me about it. Go on.
Again, I don't want to get too caught in like really overreacting to this, but you could tell because Jarell Quansah headers a long ball that Norwich play, and then Trent, who doesn't like doing. If I was as talented as Trent, I wouldn't like doing the defensive parts of the game either, right? So he just evidently just was not following up the second ball and not picking up the pieces after that header, and they kind of win that ball back in midfield after that header from Quansah, and then the hit. He uses the defender, wraps it around him, and Alisson genuinely. I'm sorry, but this might sound arrogant to say as a Liverpool fan, but if Alisson can't save something, it's unsavable. That is the level that I consider Alisson to be. So if Alisson hasn't got his hands to it, I can't analyze that as could he have done better. Well done to that kid who scored, because you deserve that moment if you've gotten it past Alisson from 25 yards out.
Absolutely. It was a hit. Keith, I'm getting a hint that you kind of wasn't particularly happy with how we found ourselves after the subs were made, or positions.
You hit the nail on the head, Kev. Like, I was confused, so I don't know how the players must have felt, because there was a whole bunch of substitution made. I don't know if players didn't really talk to each other, or I don't know if people were just supposed to figure it out. But I thought that, like, at one stage I was seeing Conor Bradley like in the attacking midfield position. I saw almost like Bradley, Szoboszlai, Trent all in the right hand side, right? And obviously you've got like almost like no midfield. So Norwich were like a few times just before that goal, they were causing a bit of issues, and I just put that down to the fact that I don't know, players didn't even know where they were supposed to be. So it just goes to show that, listen, you could be the best Premier League team in the world, but ultimately, if you've not got your shit together on the pitch, a Championship side can punish you. And I'm sure that Signs, he's currently, obviously, this is what he does on his Formula One winter break. But if he does that, then he'll be great on the track moving forward. Ooh, I think I lost.
There, you're still there. Yeah, okay.
It feels very David Brent when you go out to sink and you don't know.
No, but it's a great hit, and you know what? I think Quansah wins his duel, but he just heads it back into an area that's just seems to be vacant of midfielders, and he's able to pick the ball up and run with it and run straight at the back four. But he by no means wanted to take on Virgil. I don't think anybody does when he's back to his best, which I believe he is now. And but the hit is great. Curls it, uses Virgil as a bit of a wall, curls it round. But to beat both Virgil and Alisson, it is a good hit. It's a good hit. But look, I don't think any of us are particularly worried at this stage. So maybe slightly frustrated that we've conceded another goal. Is it a lapse of concentration, and are we smelling ourselves a little bit too much? Are we taking off the pedal and all that sort of stuff? But look, we're always going to see that game out, and Norwich create some chances, but Liverpool dominate the game. And just to top it off, a man that I thought was a little bit. It was good for the game, but certainly improved as it went on. You can see that there's obvious talent and quality there, but still finding his feet at Liverpool and still trying to find his way in this side and get up to the speed and the rhythm and the tempo of it. But it's Gravenberch who works really hard in today's game, and he finds himself on the end of a cross that comes in from Bradley. Mush, I'll skip over to you. Talk to me about Gravenberch. Talk to me about the goal.
Yeah, great ball across, good clip out wide, and then Bradley hits it into the ground. I mean, credit to him if he was aiming specifically for Gravenberch in that area. I think he was more putting it into a dangerous place where anyone who gambles kind of gets the rewards for it. Gravenberch in general, man, it's really complicated because there are certain things that Gravenberch does already which are, for me, unteachable. Like his ability to burst past someone. Very few players in world football beat someone from their first touch, and Gravenberch already can do that at 20, 21 years old. But honestly speaking, and to be rawly honest about it, I think he's a terrible passer of football. And what I mean by that isn't just he can't spray a ball 60 yards. It's that everything he gives to the player is either under hit, or if you're meant to play it in front of him, it's behind him. Everything is scuffed, or if he's meant to play it across the ground, suddenly you're receiving it at hip height. It feels for me what's really odd is his technical level when it comes to carrying the ball and his ball control and his dribbling is high, but the passing ability and vision is really low. And I'm interested to see if we can eventually marry that up. So I'd love to know what you guys think.
I will back you on that 100%. Do you know what, right? And we know where I see it, right? There's a lot of times recently when Gravenberch has played that we've broken. So we go on our normal Liverpool sprint to the finish, counter-attacks. Gravenberch has the ball. He's got 4 options in front of him. Never gets it right. Never gets it right. It's almost like I feel like he can see it, but like yeah, you're right in terms of I just don't know if he has the ability yet to really actually make the pass that he sees in his head. I don't know if that's because I wonder if it's because he's been so used to playing with teams that generally dominate the ball for large periods of time. And with Liverpool, you're playing with a team that, again, is a transition team, like it's direct, so direct that he's got to get that one pass right. You know, he's got to get that one moment correct, or else it's going to fuck everything up and then cause the team to counter-attack on us. So, yeah, I would 100% agree with you. I've seen it numerous times. He just gets it wrong.
I mean,
or he overhits it, you know what I mean? It just
I mean, Keith, one thing that I think one of my friends on a cop end, a Fracco, who Mike, he worded it really well, which was Trent, when he passes a ball, it comes with a message of what you should do next with it. And Gravenberch's ball comes with a blank email because you're not sure what to do with the kind of pass you've received. And that for me is the big difference. He doesn't help progress the move. It's like almost like you have to start again because it's not come in the right way. So I think, yeah, I'm hoping it will come. This isn't me writing it off, but that for me, passing is where the work needs to be done with Ryan Gravenberch.
Yeah, and as I say, you can see the talents there. But go through, Conroy. How do you say?
No, I was just going to add. I think it's always interesting when you compare different footballers as well, because I find it interesting that you think some footballers probably don't even think about that. Like, you don't have to be able to pass the ball like Trent. That's obviously a specialist. But some players just feel the motion, and it's more, they don't overthink. Whereas Curtis Jones is a prime example. Until probably the last 6 months, his decision making more than poor passing, but he wouldn't release it at the right times and stuff like that. There's definitely a bit of overthinking. You see some players, it's just like you mentioned Jota when it comes to finishing. If he misses, it sounds funny because he's actually very good at finishing, but see the chances Nunez has missed, and he definitely is improving. But some people just forget about it, and I feel like they just don't overthink it. Whereas Gravenberch at times, when I look at his ability, like, this guy has to be a good player, like, in the sense of his frame, he's athletic, he's press resistant, he can hold people off. Like, this guy could be. I'm not saying he's not Pogba, because Pogba did achieve a bit, not what he should have. But when you look at, like, even Pogba as a athlete and the potential, is mind-boggling. And I think with Gravenberch, you look at that, and maybe not to the same extent, but you feel like he should be really good at football. So when you're seeing things like this, it can be quite frustrating. But I do think, for me, I think there is a player there. I think I've seen enough. And to be honest, you're better to get your average performances or poor performances out when the team's playing well right now. So when maybe next season, when there's a bit more onus on, we need you to step up, you'll be ready for that. But it is funny. Some players, like, not even professional, see when you just play in general, you can just see some people overthink every aspect.
Yeah. It's like who carries baggage and who doesn't, kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas others just, I'm telling you right now, I don't think Trent thinks twice about a pass that goes. And that's a bad example because he's obviously like the top. I'm not saying Gravenberch is that, but you've got players who are just very, very good professionals who do not overthink a pass. They'll just go with it. And I find that that's the only reason that I have in those situations, because I find it very difficult we're all like not professional footballers. When you see a footballer who can play a pass at the right point, not necessarily a message, but at the right place. Maybe one missed pass a game I can accept. Find that quite difficult to watch because that is your game. But I think when it comes to a pressure situation, some people just deal with that clear mind better than others. But I think you get there. I just think there's too much potential not to.
But I think if he does get there, that for me is a very exciting conversation, because he manipulates space in such a way, and he glides. Conroy, you say Paul Pogba. You know, someone said it ages ago when he was going to sign. That's what I kind of see similarities. And you know what the biggest difference between him and Paul Pogba at the moment is? Paul Pogba could pick a pass, man. Paul Pogba could pick a pass, and Paul Pogba could hit a ball. And that's why at some stage I felt Paul Pogba, before that, you know, even at United, even though he wasn't the best, he was still a really good player. But that Juventus France World Cup Paul Pogba, that, you know, if Gravenberch could get that passing and striking the ball better, that's where.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's at that level, by the way. Just to be fair, Keith, I was just meaning that there's similarities. I think the height,
he can
you can get across the grass. I mean, he might never reach the passing. I think anyone who understands football can understand why people thought Pogba could get to that level because of all he had in his
amazing, by the way.
On his day. And what I always found crazy was, if you ever watched the France-Switzerland quarter-final in the Euros when Mbappe missed the penalty, him against Switzerland, like, what used to scare me, and I'm glad they went out that day, was I was like, when this guy wants to turn up, like when he can actually hit it, there's not many midfielders who can stop him. And that's probably must be the most frustrating thing, because you have when you have everything and you're on it. That's what you can see that with Paul Pogba. But I just think with Gravenberch, there's so many parts to his game that you feel like, give him this time. I think give him this time to improve.
Absolutely,
and I think he'll be one that could get there in the future. Maybe not hit the ground running, but I think he's got a lot of positives to his game. That's all I would say.
Do you know the last thing I did want to say on this Gravenberch thing, because it kind of combines the thing both of you have said, which is the difference between the Pogba we're talking about and a Gravenberch is that Paul Pogba will dribble through the middle of the pitch or flick it over someone's head, and if it goes wrong, he's unapologetic. Whereas Gravenberch, before a pass is even complete, his hand is up, he's sighing, he's saying sorry. And this could be the product of a player who got his big break at Bayern and it didn't work out, and he's got a bit of psychological damage, because a kid suffering a setback at 19 years old shouldn't be fully okay with dealing with that. You know, we're all, I'm 33 years old. I'm sure at 19 years old, some of the hardships I went through, I didn't know how to process it. So it's what Conroy's saying. In the months and years to come, he will feel like he can make mistakes without Joshua Kimmich coming back and me not playing for another 6 months and things like that. So we also owe him a bit of a duty of care, because we signed someone with a bit of emotional baggage that we also need to work through to get a better player at the end of it.
Yeah, and he has missed, you know, the best part of a season of football, and that would have hindered his development a little bit. But I think we all in agreement that, you know, we need to give him time. We do have that duty of care with him. He's showing enough, you know, he's available, which is not something that's always been there with our midfielders of the past. And the talent is clear to see. You look at somebody like Curtis Jones, who people said before holds onto the ball too long and breaks down our attacks, and sometimes, you know, affects our rhythm and our tempo. And look how he's come on leaps and bounds. And you talk about him being the balance now. So, you know, we've seen a similar thing happen with a player, one of our own. And I'm sure he can, like Curtis Jones, find his way in this system and start to positively affect it. But credit to him, gets his goal, shows some emotion in his celebration. And that's what he needs. That's a good confidence boost to him. But guys, that wraps up the game. We'll quickly go around the houses. Man of the match for you, honourable mentions. Conroy, come to you first.
Yeah, not to be boring, mate. I think I didn't give it to Conor Bradley last week. Was it Jota I gave for the Arsenal? Was it Bournemouth? I gave it to Jota because I thought assisting 2 goals. Got to give it to Conor Bradley. I think maybe first half more than second half, but overall, I think the guy was brilliant. Really was outstanding second half. Showed the tenacity of a Robertson as well. I'd say more similar to Robertson in that position. But again, as much said, shows that technical ability with the pass as well. So it's a nice little blend. But for me, this kid is a really good talent. But I will just add caveat, let's just put the breakers on a little bit. This is what we do. We go overboard very early. I remember Tyler Morton said he was going to be the next DM in our system. Where's Tyler Morton now? So that's all I would add to that. But I do like this guy, and I think with the timing of what Trent's doing right now, is going to be very good for the future of us in general, because let's not forget what we're going to discuss after this review. So
Exactly.
it doesn't
Again,
hurt. Yeah, but I don't know. I think in the next month it'll be interesting to see if he's straight in the first team squad for the foreseeable, or if maybe there's one more loan. But that's a discussion for another day. But for me, Bradley, superb.
Mosh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to repeat. I agree with everything Conroy said. Conor Bradley, I think he was the infectious part of it, part of the team. He was the most defining part of the team, I would say, in terms of how we wanted to approach it. The other person I do want to give a shout out to, and I think Cav, you summarized it perfectly, was I think Darwin deserves a big shout. And that's because he was good feeling part of the team rather than some kind of grenade we throw that isn't part of the rest of our kind of weapon arsenal. He felt like all the good things he was doing were part of a plan, laid it off at the right time, switched it at the right times, turned and ran at the right times. It wasn't a maverick on the pitch. It was our number 9 in our system. So, yeah, I would just want to give a special shout out to Darwin.
Absolutely. I agree. Keith, man of the match for you?
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go for, Bradley for me, 100%. Round robin there. I think he was just, I think the way he's been covering for Trent is just a traditional wing back. And I've said this before. Sometimes, I've warmed to the inverted wing back thing that Trent does. But if you had seen me on previous Red Fellas this season, you would have seen that I've at times been a bit annoyed that we would do it too aggressively. So it's been a welcome addition to having just a regular right back doing regular right back things, defending and attacking in equal measures. And you'd pay big money to have a player like Conor Bradley do what he's doing at the moment. To be honest, and yeah, another fine performance with 2 assists. My honourable mentions, I'm gonna have to give it to Konate. Again, I just think this man at the moment is just stepping up to the plate. Like, you could put any defender next to him right now and he'll cover for them all. Like, it's just the thing with Konate, the most I enjoy is he does all the things he's always done, but he times it better. He's not as reckless as he used to be. He's not as he doesn't overly press as much as he used to be. He's very good at stopping transitions dead in its tracks. He's very good at pressing the centre back. He's very good at slide tackles. Very good at all these things. But he's more wise. He's become wise with age. And the one thing that I always have to say is I think Konate, it's always remarkable to think it was Konate and Upamecano at one stage playing for Leipzig, and I never thought that Konate would be the one to really go on and become the better centre back. But we have something special with him, and I just hope that fitness keeps him playing for us for as long as possible.
No, I agree, 100%. I think everybody played well today. I think there's moments players could have improved, but I think everybody showed out today and played well. I'd have gone with Conor Bradley himself. Just overall performance and the 2 assists, I thought was brilliant. And look, it was needed. I think a lot of people probably needed a bit of a lift, a bit of positivity after the news on Friday. And we're going to get to it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, we have to make you guys aware, as I'm sure you all are, about our sponsor. Conroy, if you could bring it up for us, we'll show you the great work that the guys do. So, as always, sponsored by your FUT card. You can go over to there, get your custom prints, your custom... can we say FIFA EAFC cards are there now? Yeah, it's got to be in the EAFC cards now. Upload your image and create your own statistics. So much to choose from, so much to customize. Some of the options are there on your screen at the minute, all the different styles that you can do. Grizz has shown you before when he's been on some of the quality and some of the prints that you can get. Some fantastic work, highly recommended, and got some brilliant reviews on the website as well. So have a look at them. If there's anything that you would like, that you think these guys can do, whether it be, these cards, bags, banners, flags, anything else like that, and you can't see it, you've got any questions, just click in on the bottom left chat interactive part, and the guys will get back to you there. The guys and girls, sorry, will get back to you there and help you out with anything that you need. And then when you get to the checkout. If you put in Red Fellas, you'll get 15% off your entire order. So go check those guys out. Loads and loads of people will be interested in this. We couldn't recommend them anymore, which is why we mention them every week. And you see them there at the bottom if you guys need reminding. But check it out and let us know. Show us, tell us what you've got if you've got it, and we'll be sure to share it and throw it up there and spread all that positivity. So, okay, guys, chat. We've had you here for over an hour on tenterhooks. Everyone's going, why are they talking about it yet? It's the biggest news of the decade. Let's get into it. It might get a bit emotional. As I said at the start of the show, we all have so much to say on it. We could probably spend till tomorrow talking about this man, what he means for Liverpool. I'm going to break it down into two ways. What we lose from Jürgen Klopp leaving and where it leaves us as a football club moving forward. So have them two thoughts in mind when you talk about him. But Mush, I'm going to come to you in the first instance. Where were you when you heard about the news? How did you hear about the news? What were your initial emotions? What are your emotions now? And look, the floor's open. Tell us what you think about the news on Friday.
Yeah, I guess I was just looking through some emails, just honestly peered over at my phone just through procrastination, thinking nothing of it, on WhatsApp, on my group chat, full of different fans as well, Arsenal, United, all sorts. And someone just dropped a link in and you're just reading it. And the words, even though they're perfectly easy to read, don't make sense. And then you're looking to check a link saying, is it a parody account? Is it Fabrizio Romano with 3 Zs rather than 1? And you're just looking for any way for these words not to suddenly make sense. And I can't describe the level of devastation I feel, like, genuinely. And it's from a completely selfish place, man, I guess we all watch football in different ways. We all love different parts of football, but football for my life and for my week is my chance to scream at the TV and let out all of the emotions that I have inside me to an extreme level that nowhere else in life you really get the chance to do. And Jürgen Klopp embodies the true core of why we all love watching football. We all love watching Ronaldinho do something amazing or Iniesta's first touch, but at the end of the day, we watch it because the feeling of a ball going on in the net and screaming and feeling great about it, and holding our mate by the scruff of their collar and jumping up and down. And I think Jürgen Klopp embodies that. He's the football lover who made it as a manager of a football team, right? And it's really painful to say goodbye to a feeling that you never want to see end. It's a goodbye I would never have been ready for. And every day that I feel I've made sense of it, or every hour that it feels more understandable, it stops feeling understandable again, because there's no reasoning behind our team being so amazing and us having to say goodbye like this. So, yeah, man, I could go on and it would be sounding the ramblings of a heartbroken man, but that's how I feel at the moment.
Nah, I'm there with you. When the news come through to me, I was in a meeting at the time, actually, and it pops up. I was on an online meeting, and a notification popped up in the corner, a message to say that Klopp's leaving, and I see this done online with the troll accounts where they say he's leaving, but they mean he's leaving the press conference. And so I was waiting for the next thing to come through to say it's a joke, he's leaving the press conference. I looked at the time and I was like, there's no press conference. And so I went, as I'm sure we all did, jumped on X, jumped on Sky Sports News and all the other outlets and had a look, and it was there. And it was almost, for me, just disbelief. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Keith, were your emotions the same as Mush and I, just surprised and devastated all with it?
So, man, I've been doing dry January, or dry January, let me say, as in, I had not touched any booze or anything until we had a big industry event the night before, right? So it was a big industry event, lots of drinks. I had not drunk in 3-4 weeks. So it was a long night, got home, obviously slept late. So I'm just chilling there, hungover, feeling sorry for myself. When I got the notification, from the LFC app. So I
Okay.
was thinking to myself, it's not April Fool's yet. Like what? Because obviously January's felt like it's been 365,000 days. So I thought, nah, it's not April. Like, is there some sort of like new Fool's thing that happens in January or something like that? So when I tapped it, it played the video and it was just like, do you have something to? Yeah, you want something to say? And then Klopp says what he says, and I was just like, I was lost for words. Honestly, I was lost for words. I literally looked at there. I think I got a bit emotional because I was just kind of like, I was hungover. I was feeling sorry for myself, lack of sleep. And I saw this message. And then, yeah, honestly, from there, I was just, it was a big, 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 big shock, Ultimately, I think for Jürgen, for me, it's kind of like he's coming to the club, the way he sees life, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself. I'm a big fan of the way he sees things. You know what I mean? Like, our maybe our morals are similar, and the way he kind of contextualizes a lot of things is quite similar. I listen to his press conference every single week without fail. I will listen to his press conference, pre and post match press conference, hear what he has to say. I love the way he carries himself, and the style of football that he's brought and the success that he's brought to Liverpool as well. All of that is quite apparent that we may get. You never know in life what could come around the corner, but this is probably our first experience of having a truly great figure in our football club. Do you know what I mean? And there's many clubs who will never get the opportunity to be able to say that. Most managers get run out of their clubs. Most managers have to leave or get pushed out. Jürgen Klopp can carry himself that he'll probably be one of only it will probably be him, Pep, and Fergie will be the only ones that would have been able to just ride out on their own accord, really. And that's the biggest compliment I can give to him. I did drop a tear. I think I dropped a tear more when I was listening to Talk Sport. So a lady rang in and she was quite crying and quite emotional, and that got me a bit emotional as well because as I said, football is a big part of my life. I'm unashamedly will say it's a big part of my life, and watching it and all the trials and tribulations, and he's made it so much more enjoyable over the last 9 years that it's emotional. There's no better way to say that. It's emotional.
It is emotional, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's Liverpool fans out there that are probably excited about the future and perhaps wanted a different direction and perhaps wanted a different manager with different ideas. But surely this season's shown you that he is still a man that's one of the best managers in the world and still the right fit for Liverpool. And I think most people would have took it, quite hard and been emotional and been upset with the news. It was a complete shock because of how well we're doing this season. And we talk about Klopp 2.0 and everything's positive. We're in every competition. Surely he's excited by this squad, and this is bring up one of the comments from Passy. He says feels like the squad is on the verge of developing into something really special, and it makes me sad that Klopp won't be able to follow this through. Selfish, of course, but he deserves to rest up, and that's what it's all around, isn't it, Conroy? And I think that's where a lot of upset comes, is that whilst we understand the decision, it's totally personal. It's nothing football related. He said it himself that he just wants to go and experience somewhat of a normal life and have less pressure. But the squad's good, and we're building something, and we're very near to being almost a perfect squad, in my opinion, and nearing winning the major honours again. And it just feels like this could be one of them things that if it's not so much this season, then it might not happen in the future. But what was your emotion and anything that you thought when you heard the news?
Yeah, so it was my birthday on Friday, so I was actually out for it. No, but to be honest, guys, like I've told you before, like I love football, but like my life's my most important thing. So like I'm not going to cry on that day because I'm not going to cry in it in general. To be honest, like each to their own. I have had emotional things with football, but to be perfectly honest, like my girlfriend planned a very, very nice surprising day. We've done lots of things. So to be honest, I'm still, it's not going to affect that, to be perfectly honest, because my family is the most important thing. So that's first. We could have a joke though. It was a bit like annoying, to be honest, because it's like everything's going mad and like we are doing stuff. So it was a bit of a distraction on the day. I probably didn't take it in too much because, as you know, Keith, you know, you do a lot of traveling as well. When you've got things on your mind to focus on, like stuff is background noise that you can use. I'll deal with it later. I'll think about it later. And that's what that was like on Friday. But it is quite funny. Out of all the days, you could have done the 25th of January, you could have done the 27th, could have done anything just so from now on, it's Conroy's birthday is the day that there's a date that Klopp decided I'm off.
That's so true.
Think of a comparison or relation in that to what you will. I don't know, but on that, to be honest, it was more a couple of days after Saturday, Sunday that I looked into it a bit more. It was for me. I watched the interview, and I think it's quite telling that we are fans, but we have jobs, we do stuff, we can take breaks, we can switch off and go to the cinema, go on holiday. When you're a manager, you can't really do that. I don't care what anyone says. And for a manager who's got so much encompassing him as well, because of the way the club's been ran, because the lack of having a strong director of football in to replace him, to have take a bit off that. It's not a blame game, but what I mean is a top team like that, even smaller teams, like if you even talk to managers at League One, it's a full-time job. So it's very easy for all us to say this, but ultimately he doesn't get a break. He was meant to have a break after Dortmund. People forget this. I think he had 6 weeks off and then he went to Liverpool. And it wasn't like Dortmund wasn't like absolutely energy ridden constantly there as well. So he's never had a break. I think for me, it makes a lot of sense. Himself and his family is the most important thing. And ultimately, I love football, but it is just a game at the end of the day. And if he feels like it's great to go for a tenure for 20 years, but if at this moment he just feels that he can't do that right now, and we've all been there, and you might say, I'm not calling it a job like we would call it a job, but if he doesn't feel he's 100% to do it, and he just doesn't feel that this is the right time to go, I completely get it, to be honest. And you'd rather go on a high when you're respected. What is it? You'd rather, what does it say? The Dark Knight analogy: live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I don't think that'd ever happen with Klopp, but you know what I'm saying. I think Keith's point about going when you're on a high, he probably maybe had thoughts about this the previous season as well, because last year wasn't great. It maybe would have been a bit of a sour taste to leave then, so he felt he had to get in a position. He's probably thinking, this is just speculating, that maybe next season they'd be where they are now, if you know what I mean, as a title challenging team, but they're a year ahead. So he's thinking right now is maybe the best time, but he might come back. You never know. But I do think the guy deserves a break, because it's easy to say he's on the yachts in Marbella. I understand that, but this is not a guy who's been born with a silver spoon as well. And it's like he's put a lot into 24 years of management. I think it's 24 years. 24 years of football, he's put a lot in. And he probably just genuinely wants a break. I don't think this is one of these sabbaticals where it's like, you know, you see him in 2 months. Someone mentioned Frank Rijkaard as well after Barcelona, never got into management again.
Right.
I think possibly Germany, but I don't think it'll be one of them where you get managers who go around like Ancelotti, who goes around all different clubs, like at a very top level. For me, I don't think it'll be like that. I think there's a lot of sincerity in his words. And I think, to be honest, it's like you only got one life as well. And managing Liverpool is the pinnacle for a lot of people, and he probably felt the same. But you sometimes need to look at yourself and your priorities first, and what you can do. And for me, I get it. Sorry, I went on a bit there, guys.
No, absolutely. No, you're dead right in what you're saying. I totally agree. But one thing he's doing, I think this comment alludes to that, you know, custodian of the club, rate the fact that he's saying he can't give 100%, you know, and even if he gives 99%, he won't be doing right by the fans. And totally believes that that's the right decision to leave. And I agree, you know, as great as he is, we all think he can continue, but it shows what he's about, you know, the humility of the man to say, look, I'm just not going to be able to do it this season, and I'm not going to drag this team down with me. You know, I think there's a manager out there that can go on and continue to push Liverpool forward. And I think what a squad for the next man to inherit and take forward. You talk about the infrastructure around the club with the training ground and the stadium expansion and all the lessons we've learned over the years and so on. I just think that it's a great opportunity for a manager to come in, and surely all the top managers have got to be sniffing around. But Mush, the question will be, what does this mean for Liverpool? What happens next? It's not just Klopp that's leaving, it's Pep Lijnders and the other coaching staff as well. The director of football's leaving, and George. So there seems to be a little bit of an exodus here. And I pose this question to you, right? If the director of football's leaving and the manager's leaving, and some of the coaches are leaving, where's the footballing decision? Who's making that footballing decision as to who's right to come in next? Because we have FSG and we have Billy Hogan and stuff, and business-wide of it, we've seen financial fair play compliant and in the green for revenue and all these kind of things, profit and loss margins. But who's going to decide, and what are they going to decide to do next with this club? And by all means, take that as suggesting a man if you want to.
Yeah, I think there's a few different things you've touched on there. The first thing I did want to say was that Conroy hit a really good point about Jürgen, and this ties in with how he's left this team, which is the thing that made Sir Alex Ferguson who he was a ferocious desire to win and being an egomaniac in the process. And I'm not knocking that those are the roots of what made him successful. But the way he left that team, signing Van Persie, for example, it was purely for him to have his moment. And it says about Klopp, the man, that he has left the team to be ready to be passed over to the next person rather than leaving it at the highest point of what he could achieve. So it says a lot about the integrity that he has. Now, in terms of what you've said about the whole infrastructure changing, I guess this is a really weird crossroads we find ourselves in, right? Because are we a club now that are going to try and be a Klopp Liverpool team without Jürgen Klopp and get as close as possible? Or are we going to try and be something completely different because a 99% Klopp team is not 100% of a Klopp team? So it's a very interesting choice we're going to have to make. Now, one thing that was the only thing I probably took without my head being fried when I was watching Jürgen Klopp's interview was that he said something along the lines of, at this club, when I first came, we had a very different structure to what we have now. And I am a lot more powerful than I want to be. And I've had to make a lot more decisions than I'd have to. Now, Jürgen Klopp is intelligent enough and successful enough for us to trust him to make decisions on wider football operations. I don't think there's any other manager I would trust to make wider decisions for the club. And I'd want them to focus purely on coaching. So I would argue the biggest signing we have to make is a director of football who will direct this club in the right way, because there's not going to be another manager that we hire who are going to be more powerful than senior management. Jürgen Klopp, in terms of the Liverpool brand and body, was more powerful than this board. So I think whether it's Xabi Alonso, we're hearing these names. I think the person guiding him and the infrastructure that they provide is more important than the manager who comes in. That's probably the big thing I would say.
Yeah, that's important. And I think
Cap, sorry, just interrupt on that point just before getting to that. Sorry, absolutely. Guys. Mush's point is, look at Manchester United, prime example. Manchester United focus on each manager comes in, his signings, blah, 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 waste money, blah, blah, blah. Keeps happening. They think it's going to change. It's not a definition of insanity, because that's not actually a definition of insanity, but you know the phrase, keep doing the same thing. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Football is sometimes a complicated game for it's a simple game for complicated people. You need really someone nowadays, Mush said, someone who comes in, and that's the philosophy. And we've got it with Klopp. You can probably have tweaks here and there, but that's the main aim. And if you stick with that and you keep around that, even when you replace your directors of football, if that's the ethos, that's so important, because managers can come and go. And let's be perfectly honest, unless we could sign someone who could be here for another 9 years, but that doesn't always happen in football. You're not going to always have a Jürgen Klopp personality. So I completely reiterate and agree. I think Mush's point's absolutely spot on. And I think some teams, top teams who don't see that, are the ones that get left behind. They really are. And you can see it. How much money has Manchester United spent? Probably 2 billion at this point. But yet they just struggled to beat Newport today. And that, you have one-off occurrences, but ultimately you need to, that structure is invaluable. So I just think Mush hits the nail on the head there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is, he's been here, 9-8 8-9 years now. 2015 he comes in, you know, and he builds us up from a side that was struggling. Let's make no bones about it. Other than, you know, one-off sort of cup runs and league runs with Brendan Rodgers in 13-14 and stuff. This Liverpool side was not great at all, and we struggled to attract players were choosing other clubs, you know, and there was a lot of work to be done, and he's done so much work, and we've increased our stature again and become one of the elite sides. We'll be back in the Champions League next season. Liverpool is a attractive proposition for players, but you know, there's some work to be done. Like you say, Mush, the director of football's got to come in, the next manager's got to come in. We've got to get settled and make our vision clear so that we can, you know, act in the summer, you know, get the preseason sorted out and then go into next season prepared. And let's not waste these great players that we have, you know, trying to figure it out. But I think we need a little bit, and it will come, you know, we've got to be patient with it. We need that calmness again. We need that structure there. And we've got to accept what the new norm is going to be. We might not get a manager that's got that connection with the fans, that isn't quite as charismatic, that isn't, you know, Jürgen Klopp. There isn't another Jürgen Klopp. But I would say that as long as we have a manager that understands the club and the culture, as the comment says, and ultimately finds a way of winning, I think that's all that we really want, isn't it? And Keith, I'll come to you. When you look at the next manager, the man to step in, what would you like to see above anything that's been said already? And is there a man that comes to your mind in particular?
What would I like to see? That's a good question. I think I would like to see new ideas.
Okay. We might have lost Keith. Conroy, let's shoot over to you.
Keith's dropped the mic and he's left. He's left. No, you've left, mate. That's it. He dropped the mic. That was it. No. On you go, Keith. Are you back? I think are you there, Keith? I'll take this one and Keith can come back in. So the question was who we're looking at, and I think Keith said they're new ideas. And I'll let him come back because I want to hear more on that. I think that's a really good point. Depends how, like, what is your definition of new ideas? How far do you go? But for me, I think it's a weird time. And right now, in the sense of it probably is a helpful time because there's not that many options. But the options who are there, there's links there. There's a lot of pros and that match what we currently have. Not exactly the same. Top managers very rarely are. But I think the obvious one that I'll just get it out of the way is Alonso. That's the one that people will say. The kind of negatives with that one, people would mention he's managed 160 games now. That's not a lot. I mean, people would even say a footballer, you don't learn a lot until you hit 200 games as a player, never mind a manager. But obviously, where he is right now and what he's doing with Leverkusen, unbeaten this season, it is outstanding, to be honest. And they could genuinely win the league. We're talking about where we are right now, but it's the end of January and I think they're 7 points clear. I may be wrong for the exact with the games in hand or whatever, but he's up there. And I think that one, there's a link with the fans, obviously a legend at the club, style of football, slightly different formation, but it is an attractive style of football, passing football, you know, there's variations to that, but people would enjoy watching that as well. So I can understand that one, and I think that's probably the number one favourite at the moment. I would add the other one for me that is a bit left field, to be honest. So I know we'll want to talk about Alonso, but I heard this one, and I've got to be honest. I don't know. I think because of what's happened with this manager at Bayern Munich, people forgot about his potential and how good he could be. I've always liked Nagelsmann. I've always thought Nagelsmann was a good manager. I think there is similarities there. He's 36 now, so he's obviously got age and time on his side. But I think Bayern Munich, if you look at what Tuchel's done when he's went there anyway, it's sometimes an impossible job. I've always liked Nagelsmann, and his contract, I think, ends at the end of the Euros as well. I think he is a name that I would consider. I think there's similarities there. You can maybe bat that back to be like he's maybe not quite done enough, but I still think he's got more experience than Alonso. If you think about it, I'm sure what he done at Leipzig and then Munich and now at Germany and Hoffenheim. I think it's Hoffenheim team. If you remember, they came to Anfield when Emre Can scored that wonderful team goal. But I think Gnabry was at Hoffenheim. That they played some crazy rock and roll football as well. So that's one that I maybe left field one that I would consider as well. But no, for the moment, those are the two for me that's been mentioned that's caught my eye.
Yeah,
I was going to say just one thing about Nagelsmann, which I don't think is a good fit. I think his principles are really good, so I can see why you would feel what's on the pitch is great. But I think one problem with Nagelsmann, and I'm going to put Thomas Tuchel in the same group, is that they are very confrontational people and very difficult. They're very unafraid, almost Conte-like, to voice their their distaste at things not going well. And I think, firstly, FSG do not like someone who comes in and challenges that. I think we know that already. But I also think a big part that I don't want our manager, whoever comes in, to lose is connectivity with the team and people and fans. And I feel that if you read up on Nagelsmann, there is a lot of upsetting the apple cart in terms of always wants to take on the top player. I think what happened was he came into management at 29. So he was told he doesn't belong because he doesn't understand enough yet. So he has a bit of a me against the world mentality, which rubs a lot of people up the wrong way. He may have matured since then, but I've heard a lot and read a lot about his attitude towards management in that sense.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, Mush. Can I just come back? Listen, I meant to add that I completely hear what you're saying there. I do think sometimes, though, at Bayern Munich, it's kind of amplified as well because the Neuer incident and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot of the old guard at Bayern Munich that can be an issue. I think it's a very fair point, and probably it would be a stumbling block. But I just think there is a potential with him that I just feel like that he could be. You know how we talk about people when Klopp came in. Now, obviously, done what he done with Dortmund, but he wanted to take the reins at Liverpool and really go on that journey. That's just on the pitch. I see a lot of similarities there, mate. And I'm maybe just going with the part where I think it's amplified more than it actually is. But then, you know what? Can you really blame a guy, though? Because to go into management at 29, to do what he's done, you probably have to have an attitude like that. But out of the two choices I said, I would probably err on the Alonso one. I just think it's one that people forget about Nagelsmann. That's the point that I'm surprised it's not been mentioned a bit more. That was the only thing I would add to that.
Sorry, before I got off. So, like, what I was going to say before was, I think the likes of Xabi Alonso, De Zerbi, Nagelsmann, I think these are managers where, are we going to go in a new direction, in a fresh direction, a different direction? Ultimately, would you argue that any of them really play the same style of football that Liverpool plays? We'd argue they don't as much. So you got two decisions to make. I'm going to go left field, and a friend of mine has mentioned this many times over the years, and it probably even stands to light more. But if I think about the way that we play football, and the manager that has probably been the most successful with a direct game of football, while not necessarily being a long ball team, for me, and the way he carries himself philosophically, I think Thomas Frank, left field. Because Thomas Frank, ultimately, if you're asking a manager to come in and like hit the ground running with the players that he has and with a side that are used to playing in a certain way, then Thomas Frank ultimately is the type. His style of football, very successful at Brentford, got Brentford promoted, kept Brentford in the league, top 10 finish as well. Very direct game of football. Liverpool, Xabi Alonso's ball's great. I watched Xabi Alonso Bayern Leverkusen last night. Great football. Does rely a lot on intricacy passes between the midfielders and the forwards in quite central areas, right? Requires a Florian Wirtz, if you will, to really manipulate the ball, and they kind of knock it about and cut teams open. And again, so if you're gonna, or maybe a De Zerbi, who almost is like a coil, isn't he? Right? He kind of like sucks you in before he then boom, 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 passing away. But when you look at it in terms of like looking to get the ball up the pitch as quickly as possible, high press, get the ball to the right people and get the ball from A to B as quickly as possible. You look at the philosophy of Thomas Frank and what he's been able to achieve at Brentford, and that for me feels like the best fit for the right now. So that's going to be my left field option, and that's purely based on someone that can take what's already here and take this team for the next couple of years. And then maybe from there might be more changes. But I can't see a sporting director coming in and making massive amounts of changes with players and personnel, at least for the next year or two. So I'm not too convinced that changing the style of football is going to benefit the players that we currently have. And I question whether football that like the likes of Xabi Alonso play suit what we have. So that's what I would probably look into as well. Who fits what we have now?
Bring up this comment, try to gauge your guys' thoughts on this. You know, a lot of people thought that maybe Pep Lijnders would be the man to sort of step into the number one spot when Klopp eventually sort of moves on. Were you guys surprised to see that he's stepping away with Klopp and not actually putting himself? We're assuming he's not put himself in the in the running for the job. And thanks for the super chat, Khalid. But another name there, Benfica manager. Are you guys surprised by Pep Lijnders not wanting the job? And also, what do you think to the Benfica man as an option?
Yeah, I would personally say with the Pep Lijnders thing, I think it's very, very difficult for Liverpool Football Club to be your first ever job in management. And I think he has seen that someone like Arteta, example, because apparently they're quite close as well, got very little grace, even though he joined an Arsenal that were 8th place. But because of the reputation of the club, they had very weighty expectations. And if you're coming to manage a Liverpool team that arguably might win a title this year, I just think you're setting yourself up for the only way is down in that sense. And I think that's unfair. The other thing as well is I'm the kind of person who, applying it to my own life, I had only worked in one industry, right, for a number of years before I tried something else. And it might be that Pep Lijnders wants to enrich his own management experience by experiencing a few different working cultures and club cultures before he builds up a portfolio of work. So I kind of understand why you wouldn't want to just pigeonhole your career into one club in that sense.
No, I agree. And you guys having those two shouts, or do you think Xabi Alonso is he seems to be the guy at the minute that's getting a lot of the talk? You know, there's shouts there, Keith. You throw the Brentford manager out there. There's some people throwing Zidane out there. You know, but each of these managers, you know, different approaches, different styles, and it's going to be key for Liverpool to choose the man that gets the smoothest transition, I would say. You know, I hope that he comes in with, yes, fresh ideas and his own style, but, you know, there's no need to reinvent the wheel here. There's no need to throw up all of the script, so to speak. The players are there, the quality is there, the structure is there. You know, just come in and do what you need to get the most out of them. But look, there's going to be a lot said on Klopp over the coming weeks. It's going to feel a bit emotional, I would say, every game from here on to the rest of the season. You know, I was just thinking today that, you know, every game is going to feel, well, it will be his last for Liverpool. You know, it'll be his last time. We've got Chelsea at the weekend. It won't be the last time we play Chelsea because we've actually got them in the final yet again. But, you know, it'll be the last time he plays Norwich. It'll be.
Do you know what, Cav? It was so funny when Steven Gerrard was leaving. It became insufferable. It became lines from the commentator like, this is the last time Steven Gerrard will take a 90th minute corner at Selhurst Park. Let's just take it in. Oh my God.
It does get like that. That's probably the reason why Klopp said, look, let's not make this about me. We're in every competition still. You know, it's important we don't get distracted from the football because we want to go and win something this season and send him off, you know, with some trophies in his final season. Go on, Conroy. What about you?
Yeah, just a quick one because I'm going to finish up the now, guys. Just a quick one to get everyone's thoughts on it. Now, in that interview, one of the things that was said is we have to release it now. We have to announce it now. You know, to get the power blocks, get everything in place for the summer. Now, I understand that from a business and getting in contact with our managers, but maybe it's naive from me. But I wasn't sure why it still had to be announced to the public at this moment, and I still was a bit like, I don't know if that was still, if it had to be right now. Because I'm not sure. My worry going forward is we're emotional. It's an emotional manager, you know, the energy, passion. I just wonder if that might boil over going in to the end of the season because when it's football small margins, and that was a worry of mine. And I just wanted to get you three's opinion on that because I understand it's been said it had to be, but I wasn't quite sure of the reason why it actually had to be announced, because you can do a lot of work behind the scenes, and I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that.
I think there are too many. Sorry, I'm not just giving a quick thought here. I think Manchester United are big proof of, if there's even half or crumbs of news, it's very difficult to control the news that goes outwards. It's not even about, your senior players might have a lot of integrity of keeping the news in-house, but all it takes is a physio who has a nephew who's doing a journalism degree to, just get a small story out there. And I just think news as big as that, the lid cannot stay closed half-hearted.
Yeah. But why did they have to tell the players, though? That's what I'm not quite understanding. I don't know why the players had to know.
I think everyone, the moment the news exists,
fair enough.
It's too real that everyone will find out personally.
You're right, Mush. I mean, you're spot
on. I kind of wonder, like, just the last hot take on that, really, is it one of those things where he uses it as an opportunity to galvanize the sponsors for the title, as opposed for it to get leaked out on the slide and him having to come out when we're in this title run, and then it almost kind of demoralizes because he wasn't kind of upfront and honest about it. So I think he probably looks around at the surrounding and think, hang on a second, something really cool's happening here, and we can actually increase momentum, which by the looks of today's performance probably suggests it has. The other thing, I wonder if Liverpool's kicked off this season in a bad way, if Jürgen Klopp would still be in this job now, or if he would not have resigned or walked away if we were outside the top four, out of cup competitions, etc. I kind of wonder. I think him being where he is has probably kept him till the end of the season, as opposed from him maybe potentially walking away before Christmas.
Yeah, I think there's something in that. I think if the season had gone similar to last, that he would have just blamed himself and looked at himself, and as he said, he probably would have considered himself not as 100% now, and that's ultimately not good enough for Liverpool in his opinion. So I think just on the point, Conroy, I agree with the points the guys made in the chat have made. I think it's very difficult to remain a tight ship with news and information like Liverpool are when you start doing that, bearing in mind that the club would have to go out and start talking to manager agents, and then before you know it, once you talk to people outside of the organisation, it just delivers. And Klopp has always had that connection with the fans, and I think he felt like he wanted to remain in that and talk to us after talking to the people he had to first, which of course is the owners, the players, and then us, most importantly. And then he spoke to the press afterwards. So I think he just did it in a proper professional manner, and he's shown what was important to him, and he's shown his integrity, and as he's always done, and that's why we're going to truly miss him. But look, guys, I've been here for almost a couple of hours. We could, like I said, we could talk all night about Jürgen Klopp and Liverpool moving forward or what have you. But the here and now, Liverpool remain in all the competitions. Today's game didn't change that. Got through the tie with Norwich. We've got Chelsea coming up on Wednesday, followed by Arsenal next week. So we've got some big games coming up. We need to remain focused. Try not get too emotional and harness that emotion that's there. Mush, thanks for joining us again, bro. It's good to see you.
Pleasure, man. As always. So good talking about it.
Yeah, great chat, guys. And big up the chat as always. Some superb comments tonight. And again, thanks for your opinions on that, guys. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's obviously the last time we'll speak about this. I think it will raise its head quite a few times, either through the chat or through games or through post-match interviews or through insufferable commentary on Klopp's last appearance at the Amex or something like that. As you said, Mush, that'll probably the narrative that you will not hear the end of for the rest of the season. But Cav, top job hosting as well, mate. Just a shout out to yourself.
No worries. Made my debut hosting. We got going a little bit late, but we got through it. It's all right. But just talking about hosting.
Cav McConnell here. Well done.
The chat saying it, and I wanted us all just to take a moment before we finish off, just to say, Grizz, thoughts are with you. Of course, if you guys follow Grizz on his social media, he let you all know that he sadly had a passing in his family, which is why he isn't here at the minute, but he'll be back in the near future, and I'm sure everybody sends their thoughts and their prayers and their blessings to you and your family. We appreciate all the work you do, putting all this content out and giving us and everybody else that you see on the channel a platform to come and speak football in a proper manner. So look forward to having you back, brother. And like I say, from us on the panel, the extended Khanage family and the chat, you know, we just wish you all well, and I'm sure we'll see you back soon. But from us, thanks again to you guys that joined us tonight. Thanks again to the chat. Hit the like button. We're almost at 200. There was 300 people strong in here all of the evening. We appreciate that support. So onwards and upwards. We keep moving forward. We keep going. Until next time, we'll see you. Cheers.